You know, I have seen a lot of conventions. I've been to a few of them. I've never seen a convention go so well that the other party's candidate just quits at the end of the week. We may get that. That may be what's happening. Welcome to the Vince Coglianese Show. Coming up, Reagan Reese is here this hour from the Daily Caller. She's in Milwaukee. She's seen all the action up close and personal. Mark Green is here, the congressman on the Homeland Security Committee, the chairman of that committee. He joins us at 5 o'clock. We'll ask him about what answers he is not getting from the Secret Service right now. Maybe he's got some things to share. We'll see. And then Emily Jashinsky's here at 5:30. She's got some thoughts on Joe Biden and how the left is trying to eject him as forcefully as ever. Are we sure he just randomly caught COVID? Has his food tester been checking everything out? Suddenly, the same day that he tells us that if he comes down with a health problem, that would be what would lead him to jump out of the race. The same day he says that, he comes down with a health problem. He has a case of COVID. They're telling us it's mild COVID. The White House doctor, Kevin O'Connor, has put out a statement telling us that he has some of these upper respiratory symptoms, but everything is fine. Everything's totally fine with the president. There's no fever. Everything is good to go. So, stop being so worried about all of this. And I don't know. Have you seen the video of him on what's going on with him? Not good. There's video footage of Biden, first of all, taking the short stairs on to Air Force One, as he often does, struggling to take just a small flight of stairs. But the most troubling video of his health is he's climbing into one of the Secret Service-driven SUVs, and they're lifting his legs. It's obvious. You can't see the side that they're lifting him in from. You're watching from the other side. The door's closed, but you can see through the window. His face looks as vacant as ever. It looks a lot like the debate, but worse. As vacant as ever, just kind of staring into the distance, slowly looking over to his legs, as a Secret Service agent very clearly keeps trying to hoist his feet into the vehicle, because I guess his legs are hanging over the ledge, and his butt is on the seat in the car, but he doesn't have his legs fully in. So they have to keep lifting his legs up. So in case you're wondering why it is that the Secret Service is out of practice with protecting presidents, maybe it's because they're too busy being caretakers for them. For this guy in particular, changing his diaper, lifting his legs, moving him all around. What is happening? He looks awful. He looks positively awful. And now he's in isolation. He's in Delaware. He's just going to ride it out. And he's also in isolation from his own party. That's the other piece of this, because his whole party is now trying to catch him right now in his moment of weakness and force him entirely out of the race. As we speak, Axios reports today that it could be by this weekend that Joe Biden bounces out of this race. Headline, behind the curtain, top Democrats now believe Biden will exit. Several top Democrats privately tell us the rising pressure of party congressional leaders and close friends will persuade President Biden to decide to drop out of the presidential race as soon as this weekend. They say the 81-year-old president, who's now self-isolating with COVID, remains publicly dug in. But privately, he's resigned to mounting pressure, bad polls, and untenable scrutiny, making it impossible to continue his campaign, the Democrats tell us. The private message distilled in its bluntest form, the top leaders of his party, his friends, and key donors believe he can't win, can't change public perceptions of his age and acuity, and can't deliver congressional majorities. The president is being told that if he stays in, former President Trump could win in a landslide and wipe away Biden's legacy and Democrats' hopes in November. The pressure to step aside as a candidate has been rising to intolerable levels, especially over the past few days. Democrats fully expect polls after the Republican National Convention to show a possible blowout that could bring down Democrats in Congress, too. Quote, his choice is to be one of history's heroes or to be... What path is that? How does he become one of history's heroes? Oh, I guess he's friends with all the historians. I guess that's how. History's heroes. Worst president of our lifetimes. His choice is to be one of history's heroes or to be sure of the fact that there'll never be a Biden presidential library. One of the president's close friends told us, quote, I pray that he does the right thing. He's headed that way. Yeah, they're saying that Biden is now more receptive to being kicked out of the race. That he's reached a position now where he's starting to think, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that. It's funny, all of the like junior spokesmen for the Biden White House and the Biden campaign, they have no idea what's happening right now. So they just keep releasing statements. They're like, no, he's definitely in it for the long haul. He's staying all the way through to election day. Don't you worry. They're like, you little twerp, you don't know anything. They don't let you. Your name is TJ Ducklow. Do you think they really let you in the big boy meetings? Come on, there's no way. And also, for what it's worth, that TJ Ducklow character, he's the one who was lying to Brett Baer on national television. Brett was like, hey, does Joe use a teleprompter when he does all of these interviews with like random reporters, local reporters all across the country? Oh, those are Trump campaign talking points. And there's a video, you can see it reflected on the screen. Joe Biden was stupid enough to hold up a family photo, and in the photo, you could see his teleprompter reflected back on the screen. Oh, he's staying in. You don't know anything. Why are we even quoting you still? Andrew Bates, even Karine Jean-Pierre. You think they let Karine Jean-Pierre in the big boy meetings? Of course not. She doesn't know anything. But all those people keep insisting, I'm going to have a job next week. I promise. I'll still be here. I don't know. At the rate we're going right now, Joe Biden looks like he's on the way out. And the reason for that is because, well, the fix is in. So we saw Pencil Neck this week. Adam Schiff comes out and he says, no, I'm not with this guy anymore. He's got to get out. And every one of them does the throat clearing. They're like, oh, I love him. He's so historic. He's been so great. But get the hell out of the race, please. Please get out of the race. And he's not alone. We've got all these reports now. Chuck Schumer went and visited him over the weekend. Put him in a chokehold. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's recovering his breathing now from the Chuck Schumer chokehold. Something's going on. Chuck Schumer goes, and then their office is pretending, oh, no, we don't want to share any information about what happened. But funny, how do I know so much about Chuck Schumer's meeting with Biden? You heard in our newscast that what's happening is all of these private conversations are being had with Biden. It's funny because we all know about them. Every one of them. I know all about these conversations. These are the most public private conversation I've ever heard of. They're all confronting Biden and telling him, look, old man, get out of the race. And he's like, who are you? I'm Nancy Pelosi. I'm telling you, get out of the race. So Nancy Pelosi has confronted him. Hakeem Jeffries has confronted him. Chuck Schumer has confronted him. Who's left? What Democrat am I missing? Who could possibly say something to Joe Biden? Oh, that's right. Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Obama now throws his name out there as well today in what is the most obvious media-driven pressure campaign any of us has or will ever see. It is so crystal clear that this is an op. This isn't just, oh, look at all this dogged reporting. It shows Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, and Barack Obama are all trying to get Biden out of the race at the same time. It's amazing. All these reporters stumbled across these scoops at this critical moment in time. No, it's a campaign. It's a campaign. They're trying to force him out. And in fact, what they're trying to do is say the coast is clear for every other Democrat in Congress in a position of leadership. Every governor, mayor, and dog catcher can come out and all say, it's time for Joe to go. We love you, but there's the door. We've even put a ramp there so you can walk down. Head out, dude. Head out. Obama, of course, doesn't do it with active aggression because that's not his nature. No, he's passive aggressive, always. Obama tells allies Biden's path to winning re-election has greatly diminished, Washington Post. Former President Barack Obama has told allies in recent days that President Biden's path to victory has greatly diminished, and he thinks the president needs to seriously consider the viability of his candidacy, according to multiple people briefed on his thinking. He needs to seriously consider the viability of his candidacy. Why are they so weaselly? Why can't you just say, I think he should get out? Why do they have to pretend like they're dressing this up? Oh, you should seriously think about it. Well, if you've listened to the words that have come out of Joe Biden's mouth, he did seriously think about it, and he said he's staying in. Remember that? Nancy Pelosi's done the same shtick that Obama's doing now. Oh, I think that he needs to think about, it's his decision. It's his decision. That's what she's saying. What do you mean it's his decision? He made his decision. He said he's staying in the race. That's his decision to make, and I look forward to his decision. What did she call it? She called it his decision. It's his decision to make. Yeah. Obama has spoken with Biden only once since the debate, says the Washington Post. How's that for a sign of their relationship? You think these guys are actually friends? You think Obama and Biden are really, come on. At the end of the day, are they friends? Obama's talked to him once in the midst of their party's national crisis. Obama has had one conversation with Biden. He has been clear in his conversations with others that the future of Biden's candidacy is a decision for the president to make. He did make the decision, remember? He has emphasized that his concern is protecting Biden and his legacy, right, and has pushed back against the idea that he alone can influence Biden's decision-making process. Who, me? I can call the shots? I'm in charge? No, I'm far too humble for that. It's such a lie. But first of all, Obama is convinced of his own greatness. Obama thoroughly believes that were he to snap his fingers in public, that he could set the outcome for this. He's confident in himself. That's how delusionally confident in himself in that way. And he's telling allies, not Biden directly, because he doesn't have the courage for that. He's telling allies, I think that Biden should contemplate maybe kind of getting out. That's his position. Behind the scenes, Obama has been deeply engaged in conversations about the future of Biden's campaign, taking calls from many anxious Democrats, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and has shared views about the president's challenges, according to people with knowledge of the calls who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. All right, so lots of public-private conversations going on about throwing old Joe out. And everyone's insisting Joe's open to it. He's very, very open to this. He's thinking about it. The New York Times, Biden called, quote, more receptive to hearing pleas to step aside. Now, I don't know if this is true. I have no idea if this is true. This seems like it could be just a part of the same exact pressure campaign. Well, let's start telling the public that he's open to leaving and then see how he handles it when if and when he's finally asked about it. President Biden has become more receptive in the last several days to hearing arguments about why he should drop his reelection bid. Democrats briefed in his conversation said on Wednesday, after his party's top two leaders in Congress privately told him, that we publicly know about, that they were deeply concerned about his prospects. Mr. Biden has not given any indication he's changing his mind about staying in the race, the Democrats said, but has been willing to listen to rundowns of new and worrying polling data and has asked questions about how Vice President Kamala Harris could win. You know, President Trump has this guy dead to rights. He hasn't figured out. I played audio yesterday from the debate. Remember what Trump said about him? Biden can't fire anybody. When things are a disaster in the country, there's no chance Biden fires the people who are responsible. He doesn't do that. Accountability, not Biden's thing. Not Biden's. He doesn't hold anybody accountable. In fact, he's got no morals whatsoever. He has no standards whatsoever. His entire political career has been defined by stealing other people's work, misrepresenting reality, lying to people about his own experiences, and then figuring out ways to get power. It's never been about living up to some sort of code of conduct or ethics or standards, any of it. So one of Biden's problems is that he doesn't fire anybody. And in this weird moment we're all living through, hilariously, what that could mean is that he won't fire himself in this moment where his own party is demanding it. He has full confidence in the Secret Service director right now, the very Secret Service director whose job it is to protect the Bidens, Joe Biden and his family. And he has, quote, full confidence in her. She just let a presidential candidate get shot in the head. And he continues to have, quote, full confidence in her. He doesn't fire Alejandro Mayorkas. The border's in utter collapse. He doesn't fire Merrick Garland, who is, of course, using the Justice Department to achieve Joe Biden's political ends, which is to crush his political opponents and imprison them, some of whom have already lived out their prison sentences. Peter Navarro, anybody? Who shows up yesterday at the convention, released from prison, goes right to the convention to speak. An amazing speech. So Biden doesn't fire anybody. Why would he fire himself? He doesn't hold anybody accountable. So in this moment where Democrats are in all-out panic, the only headlines we're seeing on this subject is that they all want him to leave. That's all we're seeing. We're seeing one headline from the New York Times that says he seems more open to it, but if I read two paragraphs in, it still says, well, he hasn't changed his mind. He's still in this thing. So maybe in a way, by accident, TJ Ducklow is right. Maybe he doesn't need to be in the room. You know, that idiot knows he's not getting out of the race. Biden doesn't hold anybody accountable for their failures, least of all himself. Hold on. We got tons of news coming at you. I'll share what I know. And if you're a Democrat, every public appearance Biden does, it only gives you more agita. He did this thing with BET this week, and he was trying to talk about all of the black people that he has in his administration. This is what he wanted to brag about. But the only thing he could remember about them is that they're black. He doesn't even know who they are. He doesn't know their names. It's awful. It's just awful. Here he is trying to summon the name of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and he just settles on the black man.
And so it's all about treating people with dignity. And it's about making sure that, look, I mean, for example, look at the heat I'm getting because I named the Secretary of Defense to a black man. I named Ketanji Brown. I mean, because of the people I've named.
The black man. And then he said Ketanji Brown, forgetting her last name is Jackson. So, again, they're looking at that. They're freaking out. They're looking at the AP survey from yesterday where it's like three-quarters of Democrats. They want him to drop out of the race. Why is he sticking it out? Well, Joe Scarborough has a theory. In fact, he's hearing that the reason there are people around Joe Biden who are still holding on, financial interests. Of course, the truth is coming out in this moment.
I can tell you, Mike, the anger that I hear is not at Joe Biden. The anger I hear are at the people that are keeping him in a bubble.
Or who have their own interests.
Or who may have their own interests, some financial, in keeping him in the race. That is the real anger. And let me tell you, that's not just the anger from inside Congress. That is anger from inside his own political
Wait
camp.
a second. Are you telling me, MSNBC's Morning Joe, that Joe Biden has a small bubble of people around him who are financially benefiting from him being in office? I am appalled. Who knew? Who knew that this was going on in the Biden White House? I'm glad MSNBC is exposing this. Otherwise, we would have never known. They're so corrupt. They're so corrupt, they're admitting it as they try and replace one form of corruption with another. Coming up, Reagan Reese joins us. She's been in Milwaukee all week covering an amazing Republican convention. We'll get the latest from her, including how that assassination attempt affected President Donald Trump. Up next. Hey, good afternoon to you. 3:35 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up, Congressman Mark Green joins us, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. That'll be 5 o'clock. We'll talk to him about what he's hearing about that assassination attempt on President Trump. What, if anything, the Biden administration is sharing on that subject. And then Emily Jashinsky joins us at 5:30 as Democrats try to hogtie Joe Biden and drag him out of the presidency. We'll see how that's going. He's not hard to catch. He's got COVID right now. Then again, Nancy Pelosi is who they sent to do the job, so it's comical. That's all I can tell you. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. How does being shot through the ear change a man? Just less than an inch away from death. President Trump survives an assassination attempt, stands up, rallies a crowd in Pennsylvania, and then goes on as scheduled to that convention this week in Milwaukee, which has been just such an incredible success with so much energy from the delegates, the attendees there. Here to talk about what she's seeing on the ground in Milwaukee is Reagan Reese. She's the White House correspondent for the Daily Caller and joins us on the phone. Reagan, great to have you with us.
Hey, Vince. Thanks for having me.
Today's a big one. You've got President Trump speaking tonight, and I'd imagine that people are very excited to hear from him.
Yeah, it's like the anticipation has been growing all week, especially with, what he went through on Saturday. I've talked to so many people who are just honored, inspired, just feel so blessed to be here at this convention with President Trump live and able to join the convention. He wasn't supposed to come to the convention until Thursday. And Chairman Michael Whatley said this morning that Trump called him on Saturday after the assassination attempt and said, "I'll be there tomorrow." And sure enough, Trump touched down on Sunday, and he made that surprise visit to the convention on Monday, and it was emotional. It was, the room erupted. Everybody, felt so inspired. Trump had tears in his eyes. It's really, it's been something really powerful to witness.
I know. We made a decision as a radio show to keep conducting the show here from Washington, D.C. But I have to say, this week, I'm looking at all of this from a distance with some regret. I was like, man, I really wish I could be where you are, Reagan, and see all of it up close and personal, because what you're witnessing is history transpiring before your very eyes. And I know that you had an opportunity this week alongside your colleague at the Daily Caller, my colleague as well, Henry Rogers, to talk to people who have been up close and personal with President Trump this week. What have they detected in him since that assassination attempt?
First, through all of these people's stories about their interactions with President Trump, you almost feel like you know them. The way that they explain these stories are really powerful. But a lot of people have seen President Trump, reflect on, divine intervention, on the presence of God who saved him in the assassination attempt. We've seen so many simulations showing that, just that slight turn of the head that Trump made right as that shot was fired, saved his life. And so Speaker Mike Johnson told us that he texted Trump a story about George Washington when he was riding through the field during the French and Indian War, and they were firing shots at him. And he got off his horse, and he had 4 bullet holes through his jacket and was perfectly fine and untouched. And that happened just a couple miles from where Trump was having his rally, and just a couple days, in days difference from when Trump was holding his rally in 1755. And he was, that was such a coincidence, Johnson said. But also, he pointed to that and told Trump that it had to have been the Lord saving your life. I believe that the Lord spared you. And Donald Trump texted him back and said he did.
Yeah, and we saw in President Trump's statement on Sunday, he said it was God alone who saved him that day. Which I think there's so many people across the country who share that sentiment and who recognize that. And it's just amazing to see that. Also, you did have conversations with President Trump's sons, at least Don Jr.
Yeah, I found the Don Jr. Story to be so remarkable, because I think President Trump has also displayed this incredible, amazing amount of strength. It's just unfathomable to imagine how you could go on after being shot in the face and show up to a convention this large, of this, this prominence,
right,
and still have strength and energy to show on. And Donald Trump Jr. said in the 2 hours after the assassination attempt, he was joking back and forth with his father. He asked him, "Hey, most importantly, how's the hair?" And Trump said, "It's fine. It's just a little bloody." And that's like a classic Trump moment there, cracking jokes after just nearly escaping death. That just really speaks to the character and strength and determination of President Trump.
Yeah, and I guess it was, even for Don Jr., apparently it was a little difficult for him to get in touch with his father right away, because in the process of hurrying President Trump off that stage and then getting him into the car and getting him to the hospital, they did everything they could to basically keep him secure. And I think Don Jr. even indicated, I think this was an interview with you guys at the Daily Caller, that even the cell phone service was all shut down around him. So they were trying to do everything they could to create this barrier around President Trump. So it took a little bit of time for Don Jr. to get in touch with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting that they then after went to, after the president had been shot at, went to these great lengths to put up this barrier around him rather than doing that beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, such a difficult situation for a son to be watching a live stream and hearing that his father has been shot and then not being able to get in touch with him. We've heard several stories about that. Chairman Whatley spoke about that today, that, the only thing he had heard was the president was shot. and was left in limbo for a little bit to learn, whether Donald Trump was alive or not. I've heard several stories, like Mike Johnson and his wife were watching the live stream and saw the president go down, and also were left in the dark. Obviously, it's way more emotional for President Trump's kids, but for so many people close to the president, everybody was in a state of panic and really concerned and, left in limbo about his state.
Yeah. One of the themes I've noticed with all the people that you spoke with, almost all of them to a T, did say that it was God's intervention that saved him from a worse fate than being shot simply through the ear. And others, like I see Thomas Hodgson, the chairman of the Trump campaign in Massachusetts, told you that President Trump looked more reflective, he thinks, than usual, that there was something more inward-looking about him this week as a result of this. Was that a trend among the people you spoke with?
Yeah. A lot of people have pointed out to me that you can't go through what President Trump went through and not be changed. But I've heard so many conversations from people I quoted in the article and then people I didn't, from Terry Lake and MTG as well, that the president has, he looks reflective, like he's, come out with a new awareness. He understands now, not now, but he understands more the weight of the moment of his presidential campaign. And Speaker Johnson spoke to that. He said they talked at length about situation and I'm reflecting inward and God's hand in the whole situation. And he said when Trump walked into that convention on the first night, he was very calm. We usually see very energetic, fist-pumping Trump. And he walked in and he kind of had this different demeanor to him. He looked reflective. That's the only way to describe it. And Speaker Johnson said that is him being blessed and reflecting and knowing that the Lord saved his life.
Reagan Reese, obviously, like you mentioned at the outset, we'll hear from the president tonight. President Trump expected. Right now, the time that's allotted, as I understand it, Reagan, is approximately 90 minutes. But, of course, it's President Trump. This is his convention, and he can go as short or as long as he likes. But we're looking at potentially a typical Trump speech this evening, a typical Trump rally-length address to the crowd, right?
Yeah, I was told this morning by a Trump official that the president is writing his own speech. He scrapped the speech that he had written entirely that was meant to kind of be this speech taking aim at the Biden administration and really railing against President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. And he scrapped that completely, and he's writing and, still kind of tweaking probably right now, a speech that is going to get at unity, that's going to try to unite the country amid this tragedy that we just witnessed on Saturday.
Yeah, and then we've got some additional speakers tonight, including, I believe, Eric Trump, Tucker Carlson speaking. Who else is on that list?
Kid Rock is going to make an appearance, which I will definitely be trying to get on the floor to see that as well. Tucker Carlson is going to be a great one. Eric Trump, Elon Musk, I've seen reports of floating around, though I'm not completely positive if that's been confirmed.
Interesting.
So Elon as well, I think that that's going to be really cool to see. He's making that giant donation, I think $45 million to a Trump-affiliated PAC per month to, help them in their campaign efforts, which is really a huge hit to the Biden campaign as
Definitely.
they, start to dwindle in cash. So, we might even see him make an appearance tonight.
You're the first person I heard say that, so that'll be interesting if Elon shows up. And Elon, of course, people may know, he came out and he gave his public endorsement of Trump immediately after the shooting. He just decided, this is it. I'm endorsing Donald Trump for president. He just made it official. And now, of course, he's getting his fortune involved in giving a massive amount of money to help get Trump and other Republicans over the finish line this year. He just thinks the country's headed in the wrong direction. He's right about that. One other thing, Reagan, I've heard rumors about a possible 50 Cent appearance all week long, that the rapper, who is a big Trump fan, it turns out, may be there. Do we know anything about that? Have we heard any more?
Vince, I'm, trying to talk to some people and get to the bottom of whether 50 Cent will be making an appearance tonight at the rally. I think that would be iconic. Trump's been on a lot of iconic things in the last week, and I think that would cap it off. So hopefully we can get to the bottom of that before the convention takes place here.
Yeah, all right. Well, you're busy in Milwaukee. A lot going on. Thank you, Reagan Reese. Good to talk to you as always.
Thanks, Vince.
Reagan Reese from the Daily Caller, my colleague there at the Daily Caller, reporting live from Milwaukee. Mystery guests, and we're wondering who else might show up. Kid Rock was warming up earlier, playing in front of the crowd. It's kind of a funny thing because they do the walkthroughs and the warm-ups right in front of all the cameras and all of the delegates, people who are just milling about right there inside of the arena, waiting for the evening's festivities to begin. So you can see Kid Rock perform now. Earlier today, you could see him perform on that stage just for a little bit as they got the mics working and he was trying things out. He sounded great, so it'd be fun to see him play tonight. And then, of course, you saw President Trump this week also. It was yesterday, I believe. He was doing the walkthrough, got a chance to step up behind the microphone, observe the lay of the land in the arena. But I thought it was funny they even needed to do that. Think about how frequently they land President Trump in a random space that he hasn't had a chance to warm up on stage. He's perfectly fine in that circumstance, but he stepped up to the microphone yesterday just to kind of get a look at everything, figure out where everything was, including those teleprompters that he doesn't use with great frequency, which, by the way, saved his life on Saturday. Just to remind everyone, he got off teleprompter and it saved his life. He said, I'm going to get off teleprompter. And then he started looking at this screen and just giving extemporaneous remarks about how awful the border situation is. And that was one of the many little events that conspired to save that man's life on Saturday. Just still remarkable to this day. All right, I've got more coming up, including the Blue Anon conspiracy theories. The left is convincing itself that Donald Trump was not shot at by an assassin this past weekend, including real live MSNBC hosts who think they're being clever as they shroud the conspiracy behind weaselly language. It's the funniest possible thing. Actually, it's disgraceful, but it also amuses me. So it fits like Kamala Harris. It fits right inside that Venn diagram. You get those circles intersecting. Amuses Vince and is disgraceful. All right, coming up, I've got some details for you on how the left is convincing itself there's no way an assassin actually tried to shoot Donald Trump. It was all staged. It was all crisis actors, they say. It was all made up. They rehearsed it. Thousands of extras. Everybody was in on it. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So, of course, the left is saying it. But before we get there, to the phones we go. Jeff is in Hagerstown, line 3. Jeff, good afternoon. So you're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Vince. I'm a little less fired up when I was talking to your screener, but I've been waiting for this moment for probably 8 years, when the Democrat Party would inevitably start eating their own and just imploding. They have nowhere to go right now. I mean, absolutely nowhere to go except to carry out their deceit and their lies and just double, triple, quadruple down on it all. It's sad, but it's gratifying to see.
In a sense it is, isn't it? Because you're watching as they're turning all of their own weapons against themselves. Now you've got this like circular firing squad. The media is out for blood. They're all going after Joe Biden. There's report after report. It's time to go. They couch it in these deliveries like, oh, he's just too ignorant. He's too senile to know, but we love him. We love him so much, but you really need to leave. Isn't it amazing to see all of this transpire?
Hey, Vince, I was wondering, Joe is obviously out. What say you? Where do they try to go from here?
Well, I'm pretty convinced that they want Kamala Harris to take it. Well, not that they want that, but it seems like it's the inevitability of the racism that dominates their party. Once you say that your race and your gender are the most important things about you and not your merit, not what you're capable of, not what your track record is, the inevitability of that will lead to yet another fight that they're about to have as a party. And sign me up. I'm like you, Jeff. If it just leads to more fighting with these guys, perfectly fine. You guys have your little fight on the side. and we'll get to the business of making America great again. That works fine for me. All right, stay with us. I've got a lot for you, including the left's conspiracy theories about what happened Saturday. They're angry that President Trump looked good after the assassination attempt. They're furious about that.